Okay, today we're going to learn how to make a personal stamp. So the first thing you're going to do is take out about a golf ball sized piece of clay. So that's probably a bit much. And you're going to take this and wedge it in your hand, meaning just squishing it around. And when you have it pretty good, if it starts to dry out, you can add a little bit of water. And then you're going to start rolling it in your hand like this. And then when it gets a little bit thinner, what you're going to do is put it down on the table or the surface, and you're going to concentrate and press a little bit harder on one end than you do on the other. I call this a carrot coil. It's because it looks sort of like a carrot when you're done. So this is what that looks like. It's thin on one end and thick and fat on the other. Then take this and you're going to turn it upside down and you're going to tamp it down to flatten out the surface. Okay, so that it looks like that. Alright, then if you put your finger right against the edge right here, that's about how far down you're going to start by rolling this coil a little bit thinner. So I'm going to start pressing that around like this, and then you can even roll it in your fingers between those just to thin out that coil. You're trying to thin that out to make sure it doesn't blow up in the kiln. You just don't want it to be too thick. And I'm going to also do this top piece right here. And then this is all just extra clay. So this will depend on how long or you want your handle to be. I really don't need that long of a handle, so I'm going to go ahead and tear that off. And then this is the part that's going to become important. So what I do is I take my original design. So here's my stamp. This is going to be my personal stamp. And I'm going to lay it flat down, face down. I'm going to put my stamp on top. And in doing that, I'm going to trace around it just so I can make sure that the stamp design isn't too big. Okay, peel it off, looks pretty good, we're okay. Then, because it's letters, now if you have letters or numbers, this is what you're going to need to do to make sure you can see through it. Take a permanent dark marker, and you're going to use, I can't draw on my surface of my canvas or it'll stain it, but you're going to trace your design using that permanent marker, or you can fill in the entire design. And then when you put it onto the stamp head upside down, you'll be able to see through the paper. See? So I'm going to take this, I'm going to flip it upside down, and now you can still see through the paper and you won't have to worry about trying to actually see that. It won't be very difficult. Then you're going to take a ballpoint pen and holding it in your left hand and holding it down with at least one finger in place, you're going to trace the design that you made. And this again is only if your design is letters or numbers where they end up backwards. This is going to be really important. If it was just a symbol or a picture, you could put it on face down and it wouldn't be a big deal. But letters and numbers you have to do backwards. And then you're going to peel it off, and what you're left with is just the impression of your letters or designs. And if it's backwards, then you did it right. So at this point you're going to take your needle tool and you're going to press down quite far. That's why we left this head nice and thick. You're going to press down and draw around the entire area of your stamp. Okay, so I'm drawing around, all the way around the entire drawing, and then you're going to pull out your ribbon tool. Hopefully I have one in here. If I don't, I'm going to be just 2 seconds. Actually, I have a bunch on the tables. I'm going to steal one of those. Use your ribbon tool, and you're going to pull off that entire area surrounding your stamp. So I'm just going to take all this excess off. Okay, peel that right off so it sticks up nice and high. You can even go so far as to take off all this extra. It's just in the way anyway, so you can go ahead and get rid of it. And then on this side it's the same thing. Pull off anything extra. Of course you're going to want to go more slowly, more carefully. Okay, and then you can use some of these smaller tools, these smaller ribbon tools that I have, to actually get in. You could also use like toothpicks, forks, silverware, anything. Popsicle sticks are actually pretty good for making these as well. You can carve off all this extra clay. None of this is important. The only thing that's important is the top of that where your actual design is. So I just go ahead and pull all of that out. You can even, and then you can use these small ribbon tools to pull out any of those interior small designs. Okay. And then you're going to want to turn it upside down and tamp it again, just to make sure the whole surface is flat. Okay, and then you're going to want to start cleaning it up nicely. And what that's going to entail is a wet sponge and water. So I would probably start by spraying that just a little bit. And I do have those little sponges, so you can come in and use one of those, or you can try to make one, or sometimes at home if you have the big cleaning sponges, you can cut a small tiny sliver off of those and use that sponge to get in there and like really make that nice and pretty and clean it up. Okay. Again, I'm not worried so much about the handle looking pretty so much as I am about the top of the design. And when I take that and I push it down, that'll be that design. Last thing you need to do always is to put your first and last name along the handle, and preferably put your period also on this so that we can find it at a later time after it's fired. And then your personal stamp is done.